Welcome back to another edition of Research Fantasy Presents our MLB DFS hitter picks for Wednesday, May 3rd, 2017. I'm your host, Nick from CWE. Let's get right down to things and talk about our favorite hitting options tonight. I actually really like the way it sets up for hitters tonight. And there's some guys that I really like come in at some pretty good price points and have good matchups. The first guy I want to look at is Kole Calhoun. And for those of you who don't know, I typically do my articles right as the games are starting on the night before the actual games I'm writing about. So as the Tuesday night games are being played, I'm writing about Wednesday. And I wrote up Kole Calhoun, who comes in at 2,800 on FanDuel, 3,400 on DraftKings. Really love the matchup against Hisashi Iwakuma, 472 WOBA, 43.6% fly ball rate, 43.6% hard contact. It's a lot going against him. I understand Seattle's park is pretty big, but I really like him tonight. And then he hit a home run last night. And I don't know what's wrong with me, but when I see that happen, I always get like a little bit apprehensive about using the player the next day, because we're not just trying to like isolate home runs necessarily when we're building our fantasy teams, but it's nice. And there's 162 games a year, and a guy like Kole Calhoun isn't going to hit a whole lot of home runs. So I'm still going to be pretty heavily on him because I think he's going to be able to generate pretty good output against Iwakuma, even if that just means, a double, couple doubles, singles, runs, whatever it might be. And he does have the potential to go long. That is something Iwakuma has had a problem with. So Kole Calhoun firmly on my radar today. Next up, I want to go with Corey Seager, 3,600 FanDuel, 4,200 DraftKings. In case you haven't been paying attention, Jeff Samardzija is awful when it comes to taking on left-handed bats. His numbers this year: 507 WOBA, 38.5% fly ball rate, 33.3% home run to fly ball ratio, 40% hard hit rate. Like, here's the thing, too. That was at the same level the last game he pitched, which means nothing regressed. He's not good. He's an overrated major league pitcher. He has been for quite some time. But, people still don't like to target him for whatever reason. I'm not going to be that guy again. I understand, a hitter's park or pitcher's park or all that. Like, 18 runs scored in this game last night. I'm not saying I expect the same thing tonight, but why don't we calm it down with the whole pitcher's park thing? That stuff's reflected in the total. I get that the total was probably like 7.5 for this game, so it was a half a run less, maybe a 1 run less than it would have been in a different ballpark. I really don't care where this game is at, whether it's in a little league field, whether it's, in my backyard. Jeff Samardzija is probably going to get torched by some lefties tonight, and Seager is probably my main target at his price. Probably going to be a cash game play and a pretty heavy tournament play for me as well. Wrapping things up today, I feel like I have to go with Eric Thames, and you kind of wonder trends and all that, because once the calendar turned over, well, basically through the Atlanta series and thus far with the St. Louis series, he hasn't exactly looked great. Part of that is, hard to keep up that pace, although Freddie Freeman seems to be doing a fine job of keeping up paces in his own right, but that's neither really here nor there. Looking at strictly statistics here, Eric Thames at 4,100 FanDuel, 4,700 on DraftKings. Adam Wainwright, 422 WOBA, 45.2% hard contact to lefties. Isn't giving up a ton of fly balls, but that really doesn't necessarily matter all that much. Like, again, people spend entirely way too much time looking at that facet of the games. Maybe it reduces somewhat the potential that Thames could come through with the home run. So he hits a hard ball scorching down the first baseline and it's a double. Maybe drives in VR. Like, there's just so many ways that baseball can come together, and Wainwright just not a guy I'm really too concerned about staying away from. I think that Thames and a lot of the other Milwaukee bats are in a pretty good spot tonight. That'll wrap it up for today. Once again, our top 3 tournament options are Kole Calhoun, Corey Seager, Eric Thames. Thanks for joining us today. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Head over to researchfantasy.com, sign up for our MLB mailing list. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Research and Win, and join us again tomorrow.